Schneider Electric is proud to sponsor this podcast series. With a purpose to empower all to make the most of our energy and resources, our mission is to be your digital partner for sustainability and efficiency. At Schneider, we call this Life is On. Know more at se.com/au. My name is Jo Taranto and I'm joined today by Brad Yager, the Pacific Segment Lead for Water and Wastewater at Schneider Electric. And today we are talking about digital continuity across the water industry. Brad, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Jo. It's great to be here.
Brad, your role is to work with both experts in your organisation as well as partners and utilities to build solutions to the big problems of the world, not just in the water sector. Tell us a bit about some of the work that you do.
Well, at Schneider Electric, our mission is to be people's digital partner for sustainability and efficiency. We want to try to bridge progress and sustainability. So that mix where we're pushing forward, but we're making a more sustainable planet along the way. We do that across multiple industries. My specific role is to work with water and wastewater customers and align with that. There's a lot of alignment I see with the Australian Water Association's mission as well, to have a more sustainable water future. So it's really great alignment there, and we do that through partnering. We have our own obvious solutions across the electrical and automation space, and progressing more and more into smart digital water-enabled solutions. Hence, we want to partner in that digital space also.
And what are some of the major themes or trends that you've noticed in the industry?
I talk to people in the water industry, and there's two things that come up consistently. It's climate change and the impact and the changes that that's driving within the water industry, and that's moving them towards having to embrace a more circular economy relationship. And water's a naturally circular life cycle anyway, but how do we do that within the water industry? And the second one, which is so prevalent, is cyber and cybersecurity, especially being a critical infrastructure. What does that mean? It's interesting when you think, well, why is cyber becoming so prevalent? And it's because in order to drive some of those solutions, we need to be a more circular industry. We must become data-driven businesses, and with more data, there's more connectivity, and hence cyber comes to the fore.
You mentioned a little bit about Schneider's mission.
It's core to what Schneider is. We were voted by Corporate Knights the most sustainable company in the world just 2 years ago, because we embrace that sustainability mission. We control electrons from, we produce solutions that control electrons from creation through to use, and so we can drive energy efficiency solutions there. We're looking to, as the world becomes more electric, and we have to meet that initial challenge I mentioned of climate change. But we also need to drive process efficiency as well, which is a great alignment with the water industry, which is a process-intensive industry. So we bring those solutions both on the energy management side and also on the process efficiency side, and constantly looking and working with the local industry to find out what's driving their needs, and then the global industry, and connecting the two. So it's a job I love and super passionate about, because I really believe in the mission of Schneider, and I see that same mission play out in most of the water industry colleagues that I talk to. So it's great that we're all in this together.
What are some of the key emerging technologies that are really driving and supporting those big global trends?
I mentioned the cyber piece is partly due to businesses becoming more data-driven. So data is at the centre of what they do. And the term that you keep hearing people talk about is a digital twin. So how can a digital twin of my water network or water plant help me optimise or become more agile in what I'm doing? So, but I think it's perhaps a misunderstood term, or it's a term used for multiple different things. But that is probably the main trend that I see, that interests me at least, because it helps solve a lot of those bigger picture problems that we talked about.
So what's a digital twin?
If I talk about a water digital twin, if I'm going to use the simplest definition I could come up with, I'd say it's a dynamic virtual representation of a real-world system. That real-world system could be a natural environment or a built environment, so a plant or a water network. It becomes only really useful when you're combining that virtual representation with real-time information. So what's actually happening in that environment, natural or plant, and then you can use that information to describe, diagnose, predict, and optimise the actions associated with that system or thing. by having a combination of models, and then it allows the addition of things like machine learning or artificial intelligence.
You used an interesting analogy around the traditional way we used to travel on roads. Can you tell us how that kind of represents a similar model to a digital twin?
Yeah, well, that's where I see us perhaps not going as fast or as we could. I remember planning long driving trips before when we all had maps on our phones, and I'd get the old paper map out, and you'd map out what the route you're going to take and where you're going to stop, and that was the planning stage, which not that dissimilar to trying to plan a new plant in a water environment, for example. And then once you set off, the map goes in the side pocket, and you're just trying to remember what you did, and you're moving on, and you might have to pull over and re-reference that plan. These days, we don't even potentially even plan. I don't. I know that all the information's on my phone. I know it's giving me a real-time digital twin, if you like, environment of not only the route I need to take, but even the traffic conditions along the way. And I just rely on that to guide me. I don't have to do that same level of planning, and I rely on it. So that's an example of how we've changed the way we operate just in our personal lives. I don't see us embracing that change, even though it's available in our water industry lives as much yet.
You're listening to the Australian Water Association podcast series, and I'm speaking with Brad Yager from Schneider Electric. So what sort of systems underpin a digital twin?
So first you need good asset information, and that's the starting point. And there's lots of great work being done by various organisations, including the Water Services Association of Australia, working with BIM for Water, for example, and trying to capture that information management at the start of any planning and design phase. And the more information you can capture there in a consistent and reusable way, and specifically doing it in a consistent way with other water peers, for example, that helps us store that information to have that then model or twin of the environment. So that's step one. That's like that map that I was talking about that helps underpin with all the information. But then we need to apply to that the real world information of what's actually happening in order to derive some benefit in an operational sense.
Brad, do you think there's a lack of understanding or potential enthusiasm about getting the most out of the systems that organisations already have? Or do you think we really need to reimagine the systems that underpin?
It used to be considered something that other people would do, and maybe just one group would do when there's a siloed approach, and I still see that primarily, but there's an appetite and almost an emerging movement to embrace more, and we need to accelerate that and move faster. So it's more about doing what some pockets of greatness are already occurring, but doing it faster and then more holistically. And how do you see the really large organisations that can have a little bit more bandwidth and afford to devote some resources to that? How do we make sure that the whole industry, small, medium and large utilities, can benefit?
What could or should the water industry do differently, really, to maximise the value of the technologies that we either have or will have?
There's lots of areas to focus on there when it comes to a digital twin. I might drill down into my area of expertise, being electrical and automation. I see that as the engine room of a water utility. It's controlling the process, and if you want to maximise or optimise what you're doing across your network or your plant, then you really need to be able to utilise some of these new tools and directly influence that both automation system, but also the energy management system. As water utilities are starting to do more circular economy type activities and be doing cogen and production, then that they're moving from being an energy consumer purely to being also an energy producer, and energy management is a key piece of that. So making sure that we're including that energy management piece when we're considering what a digital twin solution might be, and then also making sure that we're embracing new automation approaches to do that. And there's some really great stuff on the horizon that Schneider's involved with there.
What challenges are there for implementing these, what sound amazing, but these solutions?
It's always the three things we need to get right: the people, the process, and the technology. And the technologies are now there. They're perhaps not as consistent and widespread use as they should be. We need to make sure that people are adopting that as well, and understanding and embracing the new technology. So things that can be a little scary don't become scary. Success breeds success, and by sharing everyone's success of what they're doing. And there's so many great examples. You don't have to go that far. It used to be, well, it was theoretical. Now it's not. There's so many examples of people embracing very simple, easy to start, and they're potentially scalable solutions in this space. So no excuse, but the more we talk about it and the more we share, then the more just widespread and default behaviour becomes.
You're listening to the Australian Water Association podcast series, and I'm speaking with Brad Yager from Schneider Electric. I'm going to put you on the spot, but do you have any projects that you've been involved in that you're really proud of, that you think that was just groundbreaking stuff?
The most exciting project I've been involved with Schneider has actually been in development for several years now, and we're just bringing it to market now, is the concept of universal automation. So I mentioned we need to link that digital piece to the automation layer and make it more seamless so that we can leverage some of these benefits. And so a traditional approach would be you'd have a closed proprietary control system, and you might have a digital model, but then you're rebuilding it and reimagining it in whatever closed environment that is. With the concept of universal automation, it's a software-centric approach. It means that digital twin or digital information seamlessly moves into your automation system, and then you can add all those additional benefits just there. So we've already deployed this in multiple examples for water customers in other parts of the world, but I'm really keen to actually get a project up running in Australia and New Zealand so that we can lead the world, because we are a world leading part of the water industry. So let's embrace some new technology like universal automation to take it even further. One of the real areas where I see we can drive some benefit is integrating systems into the automation system. I view an automation system as like the engine room of a water facility, or like it is in a car. And if you're working around the outside of a car, or you're wanting to make the car perform better, you naturally also need to look at the engine, which we also need to do here. So I get most excited when we do work with customers on reimagining their automation systems and how they interact and optimize the use of those. So I know in my hometown in Newcastle, Hunter Water are doing some great stuff around optimizing by using some basic models and some machine learning to optimize what they're doing in their plants. And then also just reimagining and rethinking about how they can drive more value from all of the information that's also being generated. So we've done some proof cases there that show there's a whole bunch of untapped information and potential just with a little bit of a different thinking about maximising what's already there in that automation system, but using the information in a different way. And we can see multiple examples and case studies throughout the papers that AWA are sharing around people taking that information, what's traditionally been an automation system, thinking it's just there doing a job, but it can do so much more. Detecting blockages, forecasting problems with pumping applications, ability to smooth treatment processes so you can expand capacity. There's just a couple of examples of what's effectively endless when we start looking at all the information that's available in our systems and reusing it in a different way.
You've mentioned already the opportunities. What would you like to see as someone who's on the cusp of all these amazing changes? What would you like to see the water industry embrace in the next few years?
So when it comes to that digital twin piece and the automation and electrical systems, is make sure that we're building everything into the smart P&IDs and capturing all that asset information up at the front, or adding to it in a brownfield environment, but then make it seamlessly using that throughout. So talking to Schneider or others, so we can ingest that information directly into your other systems and processes. And then it flows right through from the planning, designing and build phase. It's naturally already there in the operations phase because it's embedded in the systems that are controlling your plant and networks. And then it also there is seamlessly available in your visualization systems and your optimization systems across all of those. So if we embrace that digital continuity where we have that digital information from start right through to operation and optimization and then planning and rebuilding again, then we've truly embraced what digital transformation or digital continuity, and we solve those big picture problems. And we can do it in a cyber secure way. There's so many people now that can help build robust cyber systems. It's essential to do it, to be that secure design, but the possibilities are endless once we embrace them.
Is there anything else we could be doing better?
I'm constantly being reminded that a diverse thought, people of thought, can bring the most innovative solutions. So the more conversations we can have around this and other topics, the more great ideas and use cases and then solutions that will come. So I encourage everyone to get into the conversation. Bring Schneider Electric in. We want to partner. We want to share our experiences and benefit all to help drive that sustainable future we strive for.
I've been speaking with Brad Yager, the Pacific segment lead for water and wastewater at Schneider Electric. Thank you, Brad, for your time.
Thanks, Joe. It was a wonderful chat and look forward to having another one at some point in the future.